The 2023 Maxwell Award watch list was announced. We'll talk about some of your favorite ACC stars who made that list, as well as our ACC football contenders and pretenders of 2023. Who has it, what it takes to get through this season, potentially get a championship, and who is just blowing smoke.
You are Locked On ACC, your daily podcast on the Atlantic Coast Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Locked On ACC. I'm your host, Candace, joined by Kenton Gibbs of Locked On Wolfpack. Each and every day, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to the pod from wherever you listen. Hit up our YouTube channel. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode and opportunity to listen to your favorite news around the conference. Today's episode is around the 2023 Maxwell Award watch list, as well as our contenders and pretenders of the season. If you have not yet had the opportunity to listen to our previous episodes, where we had 4 where we broke down each and every little chasm of the 3-5-5 model, how they would fare against their opponents, and just what are the biggest questions that we have for them going into the year. Feel like we had some pretty strong questions, a little cilantro questions, a little spicy ones that we hopefully should get answered. And then, of course, some corrections that we have to give you on today's show. Kenton, before I get into that, how you feeling?
I'm feeling great. I'm ready to get into it because there is an extensive group of players who were named to this Maxwell watch list, and I'm ready to get into it because I think that some people were kind of sprinkled in there just as like, well, I guess we need somebody. But yeah, no disrespect to any of these young men. I'm sure they'll all have fantastic seasons. I hope that all of them end up being worthy of the watch list at the end of the season, but I just don't see a world where that happens per se.
I mean, is the Maxwell Award watch list one that is just super prominent and it's like creme de la creme, and that's why you're not feeling like some of these guys are qualified, or what has a little hesitation for you?
Yeah, well, I mean, my thing is this. The Maxwell Award was like up there with the Heisman at one point in time. Like that's how big the Maxwell Award is. And so when I'm looking at a watch list that is just massive, just like everybody and their mama is on it, it feels a little out of place because why? Why are there nearly 100 guys on this thing? Yeah, for sure. Again, if you don't feel like this is going to be one of the top 25 to 30 players in the country, I really don't feel like you should have a player on the Maxwell Award watch list.
Fair enough. And again, we'll go into the list and you can give all of your opinions on who should have made it, who maybe was a contender and a pretender. Clearly, we should have done that for this parent list. Now, we do have to make a correction because yesterday we were talking about Louisville, Virginia Tech, and we were talking about quarterback situation and all the things with Brom and what he would bring. Thank you to our friends at Louisville who wanted to make sure we knew that the stadium has a new name. Kenton, do you remember what it is? You're being quizzed.
I do not. I've failed this quiz. Apologies.
Go ahead and Google it. I'll give you time because I can already tell them people who our new quarterback is Jack Plummer coming over from Purdue for Coach Brom. So those who were worried that Louisville wouldn't have a prominent quarterback, he's actually listed here on the Maxwell Award watch list. So we should be really excited about that. So again, those of us who are on the Louisville side who get real spicy, just want to make that correction so you can have that. And they play at where?
The L&N Federal Credit Union Stadium.
Come on now.
L&N Stadium.
L&N, yep. I mean, you got upset about Kentucky Fried Chicken and Papa John's, but, it's fine. It's fine.
And the basketball center still is the Yum Center, right?
Don't get me to lie now. I don't want to get it wrong. It could be Popeyes. It could be a biscuit.
Candace.
All right. Lord help the children. The Maxwell Award watch list is here. We want to make sure you guys know about some of your favorite ACC stars who are going to be watched most this season, because not only do their teams have an opportunity to win the ACC, but they could bring their teams to national prominence. So kicking things off alphabetically, we're going to go through the order based on school alphabetically. Clemson, Will Shipley, the running back of all running backs, the jack of all trades. Will he be as dominant? Should he be on the list? I'm just going to go through it, Kenton, because it's clear that you feel a way about this one.
I think Will Shipley belongs. I think that if Clemson has a great year, I could definitely see him being in a contender for this award and potentially winning.
Riley Leonard from Duke University.
Yes, Riley Leonard definitely belongs. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Again, he is the rival of Drake May, and the guy who those two, even though they're friends and buddy and whatnot, they'll forever be kind of linked and compared to each other in terms of what they turn into or what they don't. And if he has a great season, if Duke has a great season, he'll be the engine that drives that. So I could definitely see it.
That buddy thing really bothers you.
Listen, I'm not a guy that's saying, oh, there's you all have to hate each other or anything like that. I'm just pointing out that they are in fact like, hey, we're all friends. We watch each other's stuff. We see who did well and all that. I'm just pointing that out. Not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, just acknowledging it is a thing.
We received that. I think Riley Leonard is probably one of the best positions across the ACC because he gets to fly under the radar 8 miles down the road from Drake May, who has all eyes on him. He's had a lot of attention. He was in the Heisman running last year for contention, and unfortunately the season went how it went. He wasn't close, but Riley certainly gave him the business between that North Carolina and Duke game, and certainly something we'll see going into this year as well. Next on the list, our two Florida State guys, Jordan Travis and Trey Benson. Jordan Travis likely on this award list, of course, quarterback's sake, and he's putting up the numbers. This is his year. Trey Benson of the like. It's nice to have someone in the backfield that you can trust.
I have a problem with Florida State's players being on this list. Not that they're there. They're missing one.
And who are they missing?
Where's Jared Verse? Where is Jared Verse?
It doesn't look like a very defensive-oriented list.
Mantateo has won this award. Defenders can win this award. Where's Jared Verse?
Maybe he wasn't
healthy. Where is he?
Okay. Yeah, maybe he wasn't healthy enough. If that's the case, I feel like you didn't go hard enough about your Carolina guys. Your Clemson guys.
What do you mean I didn't go hard enough about my Clemson guys?
Why aren't they on the list?
Clemson, here's the thing. I can see a world where Clemson has a great season and either Barrett or Jeremiah Trotter Jr. do not have world-breaking seasons, or Makuba doesn't have a world-breaking season, or Wiggins doesn't have a world-breaking season. I can see that. There's not a world where Jared Verse gets 5-6 sacks and this team accomplishes their goals. There's not a world. It doesn't exist. Doesn't. If this team is to become a national championship contender, if this team is to become an ACC champion, Jared Verse will have double-digit sacks. He will have to. There is no way around that. His gravity, not just his gravity, his ability to get to the quarterback. I believe Florida State was 7-1 or something along those lines when he got half a sack or more last season. So his ability to get to the quarterback and the gravity that creates is enough. He talked about it in ACC Media Days. When he eats, other guys get one-on-ones, the defense starts rolling and they eat. So to me, him not being on this list is like side eye, big side eye.
Received. All right, I'll make sure I call the committee. Next one on the list, Jack Plummer, who we mentioned earlier in the show, out of Louisville on this list.
Jack Plummer put up great numbers at Purdue.
Beautiful gowns. Beautiful.
Listen. He put up great numbers at Purdue. Mm-hmm. He's coming with his head coach. He's coming with his, coordinator and all. There are some. I think that he could have a type of season that could have him on the outside of this list looking in. Mm-hmm. Respectfully, I don't see a world where he ends up being one of the top guys for this award at the end of the season.
That's fine enough. All right, let's talk about some other guys here in just a bit. Want to remind you that these days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to have 100% certainty that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you got to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the right people for your team faster and for free. Go to LinkedInjobs.com linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. We want to make sure that terms and conditions do apply. But LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and for free. So again, go to linkedinjobs.com. Let me make that right. linkedin.com/lockedoncollege, because I'm pretty. I want to make sure you get everything right. So there you go. We are getting through the Maxwell Award watch list, where we have our top players around the ACC getting the nod from some national prominence and award lists. And it's, of course, wouldn't be a list without Drake May, who, of course, we mentioned with Riley Leonard, and he is having himself quite the preseason. Drake May, that is, and have not yet come out with the preseason award list, but it would be shocked if he wasn't in contention for ACC Preseason Player of the Year. We saw a North Carolina quarterback also experience a sort of preseason hype and being all the touted as being the one, and it didn't quite work out for Devin Leary. But will it be a different chapter for Drake May?
I mean, hey, we can go back to the guy who Drake May was replacing and see a similar situation in terms of Sam Howell being Mr. Everything and then it not panning out. But here's
now he was Mr. Everything. His offensive line won't anything.
But here's the difference. Drake, neither one of the guys that we just mentioned are Drake May. Drake May, both of the guys that we mentioned before don't have prototypical size for the NFL. Don't really have, they both have big arms and can do other things, but they don't have all the tools that Drake has in his bag. I mean this as respectfully as possible as I can to the Fox brothers and Cedric Gray and all those guys. That man put that team on the backpack and said, hey, I'm going to get us this ACC championship. Or die trying. And we see he is yet alive. So he got them there. I wholeheartedly agree with Drake being on this list. Makes sense. He's definitely one of those players that could see this award and more at the end of the year.
I pray he stays healthy. I pray that his team helps him out in big ways, and he doesn't have to do a Sam Howell and put the team on his back and sacrifice his body in order to try and pick up some wins. Let's talk about an honorary member of the ACC. Just signed a $10 million deal with Under Armour. So thank you for helping me keep the lights on. But Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame, Maxwell Award watch list. The face kind of says it all for me, but Kenton, if you're watching YouTube, if you're not watching YouTube, Kenton's face has a little slightly perturbed look on it, but explain to us whether or not Sam should be on this list.
Oh, not because whether or not Sam should be on the list. Sam should absolutely be on the list. Sam should 1,000% be on the list.
You never know with you.
At a big national brand like Notre Dame and with the ability that he's shown, the question is, were you a product of the long mesh? Did that kind of make you, or did you make the long mesh look better than it was? Because with all due respect, the more that you look at Wake Forest pre him and who they were with him, you're kind of like, y'all were the same team, more or less. Like, yes, you had an 11-win season where you went to an ACC championship. Y'all won 4 games before that. So with that being said, I think that Sam Hartman belongs on this list. And he's another situation. If Notre Dame is to have a great season, Sam Hartman will have a great season.
There it is. Phil Dracovic out of Pitt, formerly of Boston College, now looking ahead. And, of course, being at ACC Media Day certainly gave all the right answers and said all the right things. But will he be able to deliver for a very highly anticipated season for Pittsburgh, who is coming off of a shaky season at quarterback?
You have got to replace the production of Izzy. You have got to do lots of things offensively to compete. The defense will be the defense if the offense can hold up. We could see what we saw with Pitt being the last coastal team to win an ACC championship. If this team is to have a great season, Phil has to have a great season. And Phil has proven that he can be great. But coming off last year, I'm not sure that warrants being on a watch list. But I get it. I see the vision. I see the vision here. I understand it.
Peninsula Peace at Pittsburgh is the most disregarded team in the ACC, most underrated, most overlooked, all the things.
I mean, again, I'm not disagreeing. I gave Pat Narduzzi his love because I've been a big Pat Narduzzi guy. For those of you who don't know, when
Do you
Pat
like
Narduzzi,
defense? Oh, okay.
not only that, when Pat Narduzzi was cutting his teeth at Michigan State, guess who was watching Big Ten football and a lot of it at the time? This guy from Detroit, Michigan. Loved Michigan State's defense. Trust me, it was great. So they had the same colors as us too, green and white. That was a big thing for us. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The reality is very simple. If Pitt has a great season, it will be because Phil Jurkovec has a great season, and Phil Jurkovec has shown the propensity to have a great season, and he's reuniting with his offensive coordinator, under which he had a great season. So we'll see.
Moving on to Syracuse, who surprisingly have two people on this Maxwell Award watch list. Okay. Yeah. Garrett Schrader, quarterback for the Orangemen, and Oronde Gadsden, your favorite.
I agree with both of these. Everybody knows how I feel about Oronde Gadsden II. That boy is a baller. He described his game as a go-getter, and he plays like it. He goes up and gets that ball. He high points it. He plays every bit of 6'4". Schrader, he's the heart and soul of this team. Even last year, when Sean Tucker was supposed to be the guy, it was very clear that without Garrett, that team was not going to get much.
Not rolling at its highest clip.
Exactly. Not rolling at a medium clip. Not rolling. The chamber's empty. Nothing in the clip without Garrett being there. So with that being said, this is another team. If they're to shock the world, it'll be because Garrett has a great season. So will Oronde.
Final person on the list of Donovan Green out of Wake Forest. And we all know A.T. Perry. We all know some really highly touted wide receivers that have come from Wake Forest. Winston-Salem, Donovan Green happens to be one of them. He has Mitch Griffiths instead of Sam Hartman throwing to him. However, people still feel like he is a very sought-after receiver this season.
With all due respect.
Here you go.
With all due respect.
Here you go. It's because it's Wake Forest. It's because it's
No. He's a bad boy. Don't get me wrong. He is a heck of a player. A heck of a player. I think that he will be important for Mitch Griffiths having anything near a serviceable season, and Wake Forest having a season in which they're productive at a high clip. Mm-hmm. He's not even the best player in this conference with the first name Donovan.
Who is it?
Donovan from Boston College.
What's the last name? So people can know and look him up. Since you won't be funny on this show. Go ahead. It's one thing to talk about. It's one thing to talk about it off air. It's a whole other thing to bring it funky up here. So go ahead.
I apologize if I get this name wrong.
Go ahead. Now you want to be cute, so go ahead.
I believe it's Ezeraku. Donovan Ezeraku. Edge defender, outside linebacker, stand up, does all that good stuff. I think he's the best Donovan in this conference. And I don't think I think that it's a conversation worth having between Green and Ezeraku, but I just don't like the lack of defensive players being named to this list, number one. And number two, I mean, again, Donovan Green is good. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I could see him being an all-ACC guy. I could see him doing all the things. I could see him potentially being a maybe second, third team All-American type guy. I could see it. But does that mean that I could see you winning this thing at the end of the year? Not so much.
Boy, you letting that last name roll off your tongue now, ain't you? Okay, period. We got to ask AJ Black of Locked On Boston College if you got it right. So if you are a Boston College fan, just happen to be catching this episode, let us know if.
Again, I apologize if I got the name wrong.
I'm sure we know you did, but that's fine because you wanted to be cute for camera. So go ahead, be cute. We got to talk about the ACC contenders and pretenders here for the 2023 football season. There are a lot of folks that are going to be having, up in arms conversations in our comments, and that's fine. We love it here. Mm-hmm. But let's go ahead and get it out there. How many do you feel like are contenders before we even name them?
I feel like they're about really true contenders. I'd probably say 4 to 5, but even in that 4 to 5, there are some at the bottom that are like,
that's aggressive.
There's a question about y'all that if you do not answer this question in a great way, not only will you not be a contender, you might not have a good season. So we
did questions yesterday, so make sure you check out those episodes. But I honestly, I said 2 and a possible. And I'm gonna keep it spade. Like I think
Well,
2 and a possible.
well, talk to me then. You ain't even going board. Ooh, that's nasty work.
I'm
That's
looking
nasty
at my
work there.
partner like you're gonna have to carry this round.
Yeah, that's well. I so 2 and a possible. I'm guessing yours are Florida State, Clemson, and UNC. Would I be wrong there?
Oh my gosh, it's like you know me.
Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
And North
Shocking.
Carolina is a strong possible because I mean Drake May to me is Drake May. I think that he can make any receiver look good. I think he has a really good tight end room and a lot of growth at receiver. That defense is going to stress me out, especially that secondary, especially everyone being new. What will Gus give us? Who knows? But it's between Florida State and Clemson to me. I think they're going to face each other in the regular season. I think they're going to see each other again in the championship.
You know, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, it's impossible that ends up being the case. But in terms of contender, I mean, contender means if a good, not everything, but just like if you're have a good amount, of things go right, you could end up being in the ACC championship game.
Okay.
And I see that as about 4, maybe 5 teams.
All right. Well, obviously, Clemson and Florida State. Who are your other ones?
I mean, I agree that UNC is in that category, but I'd also throw NC State in there. And I know people are going to hate me for this one. I'm all right with it. I'm all right with y'all looking at me crazy and saying whatever about me. Pitt needs to be in that conversation.
Kenton.
The more I look at Pitt,
Kenton.
the more I look at Pitt, the more I say, here's the thing.
Peninsula P paid you, he giving you free ad space. Like, what's going on?
We talk a lot about how the front end affects the back end more than the back end affects the front end, and how the big boys get the job done and all that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Pitt has a very good offensive line, an outstanding offensive line. They have a quarterback that looks to have a bounce back year, could have a good year. Pitt's defense is Pitt's defense. Like I said, they could throw whatever out there. They could throw you and me out there, and we find a way to do something on that defense.
Put my hand in nobody's dirt now, but go ahead.
Well, it's all right. You play a little bit of safety, you know. We'll keep you rolled high, but
backpedal? Are you
they
crazy?
Run cover 4. They run a lot of cover 4. You won't have that much ground to cover. You won't have that much ground to cover.
Shelly Ann Frazier on Twitter going viral about the 400, and she's like, not for the dolly body, like 400 backpedal. I mean, safety backpedaling for this girl right here. Yeah, right. I'm not gonna end up on my butt and get burnt like toast. I know my role. Thank you so much.
See, that's the point. If Narduzzi is coaching you up, you'll figure it out. You'll figure out chest over toes. You'll figure it out.
My hips don't twist like that no more.
Okay, well, if Narduzzi was coaching you up, you'd find a way to twist the hips as they needed to twist in order to open up and get you some pass breakups. So I think that Pitt needs to be talked about in this conversation. I really do.
So if you're basically telling me that last year's Phil Dracovic, it was his offensive line's fault of why he looked so booty.
So Boston College's offensive line was historically bad. And yes. I think that people missed that. They averaged 2 yards per carry last year. Two. The running back that they had averaging 2 yards per carry, his name is Pat Garwo. He had 1,000-yard season a year ago. 2 years ago now.
Mm-hmm.
That is, their offensive line went from very good, one of the best in the conference, to complete mush in no time, basically, because of injuries and graduations and all that good stuff.
Sure.
The more I watch that team, the more I'm like,
you had to say free Phil. Free Phil. He needed a lane of protection, and that's what he's going to get at Pitt.
And that's what he's going to get at Pitt. And I think that the biggest question over there is receiver. How do they figure that out? And so, those are my teams that I would see as contenders. Those are the 4 main ones that I would look at as contenders. You got Clemson, Florida State, UNC, Pitt, and the possible is NC State, but that's based on Brennan Armstrong. How you going to act, Brennan? Which Brennan are we going to get? And also Dave Doran. Are you ready to pull the trigger if we get 2022, Brennan? Are you ready to pull the trigger to go with MJ Morris? And if you do, MJ, how you going to act? How you going to act? Because I love the kids.
It's funny. that you bring them right to the table because they my first pretender. Now, I done went all in on you jokers. And I was thinking y'all was going to win the ACC championship. Y'all had the quarterback. Y'all had the defense. Y'all had seven. No, you can't cut me off. No, you cannot. Y'all had 17 returners. You had all the damn coaches stay, and y'all just made me look like a plum fool. I'm not doing that.
All the coaches staying wasn't a good thing. I've never been high. I've told everybody from the jump.
We know how you felt about Tim Beck.
Was not it. I told everybody from the jump.
But here's the thing. That was who you had to work with, and you want to blame that man. However, semicolon, comma, I think that when the pressure gets on them, they bust like pipes. Now,
I said that there were multiple contenders that if they did not answer their question, not only would they not be contenders, they would UNC. If they cannot get that defensive backfield sorted out, I'm looking at y'all saying you could have a bad season.
So here's my thing.
NC State.
We can make arguments for everybody.
Here's the thing. I don't think that there's a world where, let's say, for example, if Clemson's defensive line outside of Tyler Davis doesn't do much, they're going to have a terrible year. Don't think that's the reality.
We know it's between Clemson and Florida State. We got to have talk for talk's sake. Cool.
But I actually don't think that. I really believe that there is a world where Florida State, for the most part, everything holds, they do their thing, and they don't end up head and shoulders above everybody else in the conference. That's a very real possibility because their question is about a quarterback that we have seen play a ton of football. Not only that we've seen play a ton of football, at ACC Media Days, he talked about how the NC State game changed him. And the question was like,
changed him for what? The better?
Yeah, he said it changed him for the better. But here's the thing. He said it changed him for the better. But my question is, my brother in Christ, you had cover one. You were running a slot fade. Slot fades are an excellent counter for cover one because the safety is sitting in the middle of the field. You need to throw the ball to the back pylon. At worst, that should be incomplete beyond your receiver's hands. The safety ended up catching it like a punt. That is what happened there.
You know, I tell you about I tell you about when you get a little too nerdy for me. Okay, I tell you what the X's and nose ish. I tell you about that.
Okay.
I tell you about it.
I
don't need another breakdown, please.
Let me talk it like this for our listeners. Can I break it down for our listeners?
Please.
Can I break it down for our listeners?
Quickly.
Cover one is a man coverage. You are going man on man.
No. We don't need a breakdown. We get that. What we're trying to tell, what you're trying to say is the man fumbled that bag at the NC State game.
He did the equivalent of like fumbling before the goal line, in essence. Because
he jacked
that's a pass that, it wasn't even like his receiver didn't have a step because he did. You had the right concept. You had the right route combination. You had the right scheme for what the defense was going to do.
Baby, I feel like you and Jordan need to let that go. Let's come on back. Here's
why that matters.
Come on back. What does that have to do with being a pretender?
Because it wasn't just that. That NC State game when Devin Leary got hurt, NC State did not complete another pass. How do you lose to a team that doesn't complete a pass in basically the second half of the game? Like, that is a very serious question. And so when I look at Jordan Travis, I say, I want to believe in you, brother. You did do good things at the end of the year. I want to believe in you. But if we are going to say that your team is head and shoulders above everybody else, I can't have questions about you as a quarterback who has played as much as you've played. And I do.
So Florida State is a pretender for you.
I didn't say that. I said that there were multiple contenders that if they did not get the questions answered, they would not be in that group.
I hope people watch this. I really
and again,
I really do.
I'm not even saying that I expect Florida State to not answer the question that Jordan Travis to be bad. But you're saying, oh, it's only two, and everybody else, we're talking to Phil Air. No, I truly believe that Florida State can have things hold for the most part, and these other teams are still in that ball game with them.
Who are your pretenders, child? We got 3 minutes. Who are you?
I mean, there's a plethora of pretenders. When did we get so high on Jack Plummer? I'm sorry, but what happened?
Said they were high on Jack Plummer?
What happened? No, because people were yelling at us. We got our quarterback. Jack Plummer's a
child. Okay.
He ain't his daddy. Jake ain't walking through that door. You understand? That's Jack. It ain't the same thing. If his daddy was Jake the Snake, he looked like Jack the Garden Snake, with all due respect. And so y'all sitting up here telling us like we crazy. Oh yeah, Jackson's gonna get the job. Okay, if that's the basket that you're putting all your eggs in, then I'm more worried than I was before when I thought there was a quarterback battle to be had.
Honestly, Duke might be a pretender, and it's because I'm high on them. Because anytime I get high or emotionally invested in any team, they blow it for me. And I feel as if people now are saying, like you said, you got to step up for Duke. You can't go into Duke thinking like, oh, we could get popped in the mouth. Absolutely.
Duke is right on the cusp of contender for me. They're right on the cusp. I can't let them in the door. I can't do it. I can't do it yet. I can't do it. I could revisit this week 6 and say, oh, I might have been a little
but to me, if there was ever a year, this is the year because this is Dwayne Carter's last year. And that defense, unless they're going to be churning out people, which Duke's not known for, if there was a season for them to get it done, do it, and be in the top 5 of the ACC when this is all said and done, damn it, this might be the year.
I don't know if this team is mature enough to handle expectations coming in. I don't know if this team is mature enough to handle, hey, people see you coming and are gearing up. People are not looking at Duke saying, oh, yeah, W. People are looking at Duke saying, we got to put our Dukes up and get ready to battle. This is going to be 60 minutes of warfare. Now, are you ready now that you're no longer a team that people are like, oh, it's Duke, we got Clemson next week. You're not that team anymore. You're the team that is the next week team now. That people are like, oh, we got Boston College this week. Not important. We got Duke after them. That's the game.
It's saying putting our Dukes up for me, and you just casually put that in there. That was nice. Being for you.
I try.
Unintentional at that. All right, guys, we got to wrap up this show, but we always appreciate you stopping by and let us know who your contenders or pretenders are when it comes to ACC football. Did we not mention one of your favorites? Did we go a little too hard on the others? It's all remains to be seen, and we would love to hear your feedback. For Candace Cooper and Kenton Gibbs, we hope you come back tomorrow. We're going to have a Round the Horn show full of all of the hosts around the ACC, so look forward to having those conversations. Until next time.